Omniverse. I am Joe Bear.
I'm Zac.
And I'm Diego.
And this is Behind the Beard.
Or lack thereof.
And today we're starting a new series all about communication. First, we're talking about extreme ownership. This topic really could be put in any part of the series we're going to talk about throughout the series of Behind the Beard, but we feel it is most valued to start with owning ourselves via communication.
But before we get there, we do have a question from one of our viewers. And this, Mike, I didn't know this was controversial, okay? But apparently there is some heat behind this. So one of our amazing GBAs here at Omni Interactions asked, do beans belong in chili? So this was asked by Zachary Ashton. So I had the conversation with him up front and was like, beans have to be in chili, but I thought it was a no-brainer. But he doesn't like beans in chili.
Telling you Zac to Zac, beans in chili.
Beans in chili. I didn't know there was an option not to. If there's no beans, isn't it just a meat sauce?
And to me, that's a meat sauce. Like, let's go make some lasagna or something. But what is he saying about why doesn't he like the beans and why is it still being called chili?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. To me, it's, you're making like a sloppy Joe and you're just kind of putting that together. I know some areas do like spaghetti noodle and chili, but then isn't it just like a spaghetti?
Isn't that a Cincinnati thing? Chili over spaghetti, but I don't think there's beans in that Cincinnati chili. So it's kind of just like a different type of marinara meat sauce. I don't know.
Just the bolognese right there, and that's it.
If I went to a chili cook-off, there would be no ribbon given to that. Like, you forgot ingredients.
Yeah, I think it's unanimous here. But we would love to hear from all of you. Beans or no beans in your chili? And we have a new email address where you can reach out to us. We'd love to hear your responses. It's BTB, boy, or behind the beard, BTB. I was going to do boy at oiteam.com. Man, I totally butchered all of that. But anyway, it'll help you remember through my flub of btb at oiteam.com. Let us know. What is your take on chili with beans or without beans?
Or ask us any questions you might want some answers for.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Here I was eliminating to it only the chili because we are in chili cook-off time, and I'm with you guys. It's got to have beans in there. I didn't know this was a hot take, but hey, we've got it out in the open now. We need to hear back your feedback. We would love to hear it.
But speaking of hot takes, there's also one other thing. What are your favorite apples?
Ooh.
Well, Apple products, but I think you're asking like food.
There's so many new apples out there. And there's a ranking list that just came out. You can Google it and find it to figure out what are their top apples.
Wait, why do you know this? Why do you know the ranking of apples?
I mean, don't you ever just get curious and use the internet to satisfy your curiosity of what is the best apple in the world?
Red apples, green apples, that's it. Like, I don't know anything more than that. And I know my dog likes green apples, but that's it.
It goes further. You got sweet tango apples, you got the Honey Crisp, you got the Gala, you got the Snapdragons, you got the classics out there, the what is it, the Johnny Smith? The Johnny Gold.
Granny Smith?
Granny Smith. I was thinking Jonathan, and they're always the crosses anymore. The Granny Smith. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to be real honest. I like apples, and it's whatever's on sale. The lowest price per. That's the apple I'm going with for the week.
So like wine.
That's me. Whatever is the lowest on sale, that packs that bang for your buck. But I think I'm a Fuji. Fuji. Probably pronouncing that wrong, but I think that is it. That are a Red Delicious. Like, there's the crispness of each.
Fuji have the crispness, the sweetness.
Yeah,
I like a little bit of tart in my apples too, from time to time, but I don't want them too tart. Wow, that's hard to say.
But I don't do candy apples. I cannot do any type of like caramel candy, nothing. Like,
damn it, you're with you too. Like, I don't do that.
Here's a hot take. Candy apples are delicious, and you both need to get on board with the awesome caramel and the chocolate coating and all of the goodies that come on top of it. I think candy apples are amazing. Now, I don't like the pure red candy apples, but I mean the gourmet ones with chocolate and all that. Those are 2 thumbs up from me.
I think it's the teeth thing, fighting it, getting that like the gunk gum teeth. Like that's where I basically stay away from popcorn most of the time, or corn, or anything where I have a teeth issue, because then I'm constantly picking at my teeth and it just drives me insane.
I like it to get messy all over my beard. I save it for later. I think that's why I enjoy them so much. Just leave it in the teeth. I don't know.
All right. Well, that is
On that
definitely a
note.
hot take.
Again, let us know. btb@oiteam.com.
Not to be boy, but beard. Or never mind.
See, it's not easy to come up with on the fly, that phonetic spelling. All right. Are you into crypto?
No.
No. Okay. Binance bought out FTX. That's a pretty big one, but I'll leave it at that. What else is out there going on right now? Powerball. I'm stuck here with you guys again this week. I was not the winner. One individual from California has won $990 something million. They chose the cash option.
Yeah.
They can finally afford a 3-bedroom house out in California, so good for them. Not much left over.
Don't get probably California gas prices too. I mean, now they can fill up their car twice.
That's right.
But I mean, I was gung ho. I was gonna do it. Somebody won $1 million in North Carolina. Sure, Joe and I are. But yeah,
I still haven't checked my numbers. I need to do that.
Yeah, 0 for me. I had all these plans, intentions. I feel like I have all that set in my mind that I'm going to go on a vacation right away, because that's like my impulse thing. Like I need a vacation just because. And then other than that, kind of see what happens. But I don't know what I would actually do if I got that notification or checked it and it was there.
I think we would be okay. We're both planners by nature. We would figure out what we're going to do and kind of take those next steps real slowly. As reality set in. But I think that's part of the fun with buying a lottery ticket, right? Is that dreaming, that's the, what could be if I had $1 million, what would I do? Those types of dreams, those types of conversations. I don't play very often. I guess my $2 is only worth it if it's over, $1 billion. I guess
when their odds are probably worse because more people are playing.
I'm a lottery snob, like just 20 million, not worth my $2.
Not worth my time, effort.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, good for them. Hopefully somebody out there in our network, they won that, and congratulations to you. Any other hot trends we got going on out there? No, before we do that, Diego, is there a lotto in Guatemala?
Yeah, there is. There is regular loto.
Okay. The more
I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but
it's there.
It's there. It's the option. Yeah. Most of the time, it's in the background for me as well until I get like a. We drive by, they're everywhere, and they're like, oh, here's the grand prize. They're like, oh, okay, cool.
Before we hop into this extreme ownership, you have some extreme ownership on where you choose to be in a social space, right? And one place that I have not been on in a couple of years, might be 3, is Facebook. I just can't do it.
I'm there with you, Zach. I left Facebook quite a while ago. And, if you follow stocks of companies or anything like that, they've been thrashed lately. I think they've lost, $800 billion in value. And as they pour more and more money into the Metaverse, and there's very few active users there, but you got to look at what they've done in the past. And, it's trying to figure out what is the next step for Facebook itself. And, it wasn't too long ago they purchased Instagram, and most people use Instagram if you're a certain age and demographic, or and now it's like TikTok is taking over, right? And so I think they're trying to find the next network of users, and maybe they're onto something. But before, I know we want to talk about something specifically here with Facebook itself, but are you in or out on the Metaverse?
I'm out. I'm not interested.
And why is that?
I don't know. I think like there's some things that technology can like enhance your reality, and like I ride bikes, right? Bicycles. So a lot of the metrics, like I love having my Garmin computer in front of me telling me stuff that is happening in real time, like having the streets where I know that I'm going, and having roads, the inclinations and stuff. But that's like real life enhancing. The other way around, like just putting a headset and riding a virtual road, I will not be interested in doing that. Like that's just, I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't.
Another hot take.
I think I'm with you there. Like I might give it a go, maybe. I don't know, just to be like, hey, tried it. If there's no like investment needed for me, because let's be honest, I'm not doing it if there's investment needed. But other than that, it's kind of like, is this basically Sims from when I was young?
Exactly.
I love the Sims, but if I want to be in the metaverse, I'll just go play Sims.
Yeah, I think Zach, you're onto something there. It's, what's the price of entry, and right now it's, what is it, the Oculus headset, and you got to purchase that to be able to go play in the metaverse, and what is there to really do there? Okay, I can become a magical figure or something, fly, but like we have gaming consoles for that. Like I don't know. I think it would be a cool experience, like at a Dave and Buster's, where I'm going in and experiencing like a gaming simulation maybe, but I don't know, just at home I'm like you, Diego. I'd rather just go outside. I don't need to pretend I'm riding a bike. Let's go ride a bike.
Yeah, let's go run. Let's go explore things and interact with real.
And even like the workplace meetings, that's weird. We have teams, like we can see each other on camera. Like, why are we all going to be like in a different location and like walk into, have you seen those like examples or simulations where they're having like a board meeting and it's like Joe and I and our little characters like walking into an office?
That's just like clinging to the past. Like, this works well. Why do you want to walk into that meeting now?
Like, is there anxiety? Like, is there emotions to it? Like, are you gonna see my angry face? Like, I don't know. Can I walk up and like smack Joe if I'm like feeling like I need to get him to stop talking? I don't know.
I mean, how else are you going to kick me under the table when I'm just ranting and raving and going on too far into a subject, right? But I mean, it's almost like Star Wars. You got the hologram, right? It's like you appear and you're part of the room. So is it just science fiction and we want to realize this into what we do? Maybe that sounds cool. We can read body language there, but I just don't think there's enough value to bring it home.
I don't know.
Phone calls work. Zoom calls, Teams calls, they work. All right. Yeah, that was fun. A little bit of change up in pace. Thank you for that. I think kind of gets us off and our juices flowing. We had some hot takes, maybe some controversial ones, beans or no beans, but we'll get the answer from all of you. Hopefully let us know what is the right way to make chili. We really want to talk about today is extreme ownership. So there's a book by Jocko Willink titled just the same. Highly recommend you read it, and just kind of own yourself. That's really what it comes down to. You own your surroundings. You own what happens. You make it happen, whether something bad happened in your life. Well, what did you do to prevent it? What did you do to lead yourself into those kind of thought processes that really make it happen? Why we really wanted to talk about this specific topic of extreme ownership during communication is communication really is where business starts, whether we're talking to customers, whether we're talking to clients, whether we're talking to each other. How we talk to each other matters. And communication is an ever evolving thought process, ever evolving mastery. And mastery is just getting better and better at something that matters. It's for you, Diego, for you, Zach, for me, for any leaders or frontline, anyone out there that you have the privilege of working with. Communication is something that matters. We don't have mind reading techniques yet, maybe in the metaverse, like we were talking about. But for today, no matter how great the document is, how great the speech is, how concise the report is, you could always make it just a little bit better. And so as we look at mastery of being an aspiration, we get closer and closer, but it'll never get to perfection. But this is where we come into the ownership stake of it, to realize the potential of the power of communication. And then that sets us up for work ownership, task ownership, we talked about 1% better ownership, all of those things to address the change, all of the things to address the concrete, what needs to happen for me to be a better business partner, whatever the case. And it's a reflection, or more of a self-reflection, is where it starts from. I think it's so critical for any success in communication itself, for this to start off with the process. Now, I just said a lot. I was not concise. I rambled on. We could have used you, Zach, to kick me under the table to wrap it up. But Zach, what would you feel as far as extreme ownership in the communication sense? Where do you take that? How do you realize that?
So I'll go back to when I was on the phones back towards the beginning of my career. Extreme ownership started for me during my customer service, front-facing frontline days. Apologizing, making excuses, whatever to my customer didn't help. Yeah, sorry is nice. It shows empathy. You believe, or they believe it. But when you actually own the issue and you go and say, like, I'm going to get this done. This was, I'll own it. It is, our company did something wrong in this situation. We didn't deliver what was expected for you. So that was where I started that. And it makes difficult times easier because you're not hiding behind anything. It typically shortens conversations. It doesn't create like a trickle down effect of now you're having to like scramble and remember what lie you said or what excuse you made this one time. If you just stay true to what the situation was and what caused it, then you're prioritizing what can be done next because you've taken the big part out. And then that's the human approach of how are we going to combat this? And, well, put it on me. It's my fault. Let's move on.
Yeah, I love that, Zach. What you accept as a leader is more important than what you teach in regarding standards, right? When setting standards, no matter what is stated or written, if bad performance or bad communication or bad whatever is allowed, you don't hold yourself accountable to that, then there's no consequences, right? I own this. I can improve this. It becomes the new standard. And so everyone around you wants to, well, I could have done better too, right? It's a domino effect for everyone around you. And all of a sudden, if you're back to the phones, when you take ownership of, yeah, this stinks, this wasn't a good feeling, this wasn't what was expected to happen, I own this, here's what we need to do, here's how I need you to help me. And all of a sudden your customer is working with you like, yeah, let's do it. I don't want to be on the phones more than you want to be on the phones, right? Let's go solve this problem together. And then once you start to have that type of communication, there's a belief. And whether it's a leader, it's spoken model, philosophy, everyone's a leader, regardless of your title, with whatever you're doing. Now, Diego, there's a lot of what I believe in you is how you're able to persuade and inspire others to follow in belief of what you are saying because you take ownership of when it doesn't work. What are your thoughts on that?
I think one great example of extreme ownership, and we were talking about bicycles just a bit ago, right? So when you're riding a bicycle on the street or also in motorcycles, right, is that defensive driving, which is you're just aware of all your surroundings and you're holding yourself accountable for any consequence that might happen there. And that's a great way to avoid any accident, right? Because it's not like, oh, they cut me off, so that's why we crashed. When you're on a bicycle, you're very vulnerable, much more vulnerable than a semi-truck if it's going right by you, right? So you might want to hold yourself accountable for looking at it and having enough distance so in case it gets in or in case someone turns, and just be aware of all your surroundings, listening to the sounds around you and all of that kind of stuff. That's the mindset, right? When you go into work, when you go into life and you are just aware of everything that's happening around you. Yes, there are things that you're not going to be able to change, but if you're aware of them and how they are moving, you can plan for things. You can plan to make the right moves or the right actions, take the right actions, and hold yourself accountable for that.
When even your example of the bicycle and going around to that frame of mind, it's situational awareness overall. And that is a big key in not only communication, but extreme ownership, because you have to know when to play your cards. And if you're not owning everything, and when I see, and kind of going back to Joe's first question, extreme ownership in short is you own everything. Even if you have if you're on a team and you have teammates and you have maybe direct reports or whatever that looks like, you own everything. That is my mindset, my impact and my decisions. I'm situationally aware that what I'm doing is impacting everybody around me. So going around to that point, you have to understand what to tackle and what to do at that moment. On the bicycle reference, like, am I going to hit this chicken or am I going to hit this car? Well, sorry, chicken, I don't want to get hit by a car. So I'm going to make a call. I'm going to take a moment and I'm not going to try to tackle both problems. Like, I'm not going to try to, hit the chicken and the car. Like, I'm going to take one route and look for what's best. But, it's all about that kind of coupling it with owning everything, situational awareness, and then prioritize, execute.
It's also about setting the example, right? Because then when you start to take that attitude and when you start showing that you're able to be aware of all your surroundings and make the right decisions or just make the decisions whenever they need to be made, people start noticing that, and maybe that can lead your team into becoming that as well.
I think you're both brushing on the next area of what is truly the power within the self-ownership is the ego itself, and it's getting your own in check, right? That's the hardest ego to get into line, and we've all been there. We all want to believe we are putting our best foot forward. Hey, nobody's trying to do a bad job in this world, right? Nobody's I'm going to go in and half-tail it today and just survive and coast. No, everyone wants to put out a good product, right? And that's where the ego comes into play of, well, I'm doing this, so Diego's not, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, they would get back into that excuse mindset. But if I'm coming in and saying, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work with you. I want to hear your ideas. Here's what I need to get done. Here's what you need to get done. We can combine our ideas, and now we're moving forward. It doesn't matter that my idea was correct or wrong, or we're just working together, right? We're not worried about our self-preservation because we own that preservation regardless of what happens out there. And it's super difficult to check your ego. It really is. What are some ideas that either one of you have to kind of keep that ego contained and to not be ultimate, blah, 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 this is the way it should have been? What do you think on that?
It goes off of kind of like a self-control in the sense of going back to communication and how you're going to come across. If there's two parts, right? You're either protecting your ego, and from my visual, from what I'm seeing, is you totally recluse and you don't own and you don't push anything forward. And then you're just not even touching ego, right? Because you're protecting it because you're afraid of consequence. You're afraid of speaking incorrectly. You're afraid of getting blame at you. And then there's the total opposite side of this where, from your point, right, you're going in and being like, okay, I'm just doing this because I know, Joe's not going to do it. And this is just me. And when this works, it's going to be all about me because I own this and I'm going to get that gold ribbon. So it's that self-control to find out that it's not so much about perception of you, but instead what is the desired outcome for all parties. And getting to that is more important than a perception from peers or clients or what have you. Not saying you don't respect them or respect the situation. Go to the desired outcome and frame your mind to that would be what I would say.
The desired outcome from any of this, whether we're an individual on the phones working as part of a bigger collective or in a small group, a large group, or we're trying to change the world into this gig life that we're building here at Omni. It's an essential tactic to get to the teamwork. Departments and groups within the team must work together to break down those silos. We need to rely on each other and understand who depends on who. And there are times, like you were saying, I'm just going to get this done because Joe's not going to, which we know. But if you abandon this teamwork ability, then the effects are actually disastrous for the team's overall success, because then Joe's not accountable for his actions. Joe's not coming to the table with his best intentions and holding himself accountable for what needs to be done. Now, there's something, Zach, that since you went and covered me, now there's something you're missing. And now it's this domino effect of things that are just going to keep falling out of place. And then all of a sudden we're a month down the road and going, why does everything seem out of place? Let's get back to the very, very beginning of it. I didn't own my communications. I didn't own my tasks. And so therefore, our whole team is out of whack, right? How can we make sure that our communication is most effective? Diego, you are a master of communication. Do we want to go extreme, list everything out? We want to do simple. Where's the best point for communication itself?
First of all, I'm not a master of communication. I'm just a guy doing communication stuff. But yeah, I think now that we have the model, like define the model for extreme ownership, if we apply it to communication, it is about asking all the questions that you need to have all the information that you require to perform something. And also like when we talk about the ego and it's also about not holding that information within ourselves and communicating everything that we need to communicate or that we believe that needs to be communicated to everyone that needs to hear it, right? So because that's what happens most of the times, like most of the communications issues that most of us have when working is we didn't ask something. And for the smallest questions that we didn't ask, we didn't get that key thing that we needed to know to make it right. And then the other thing that happens is we held something that we didn't tell to our team or that we didn't tell to someone, and that's what kept things from working right. And so that's how we take that extreme ownership mentality to communications, is asking and telling.
And what I'm hearing from you, Diego, is keep it simple. The more complexity we add by not asking this question, not giving this information, adding the fluff, right, to seem like there's more than what there is, it exasperates the problem, which spirals things out of control to where we're feeling we don't have control itself, because there's now a red flag that's popped up because we didn't have a straightforward, clear, and succinct plan of communications to work towards our directive. I absolutely love what you're saying there.
In that situation, to both your points, nobody stopped and said, why are we doing this? You're in this situation. A lot of times when you have to take extreme ownership, something didn't go right. That's the reality. We probably all been in a meeting before from a work perspective, and we're trying to solve for something, and everybody is just throwing things at the wall. That has to happen. But then everybody's, if there's no organization or there's no simplicity, everybody's just doing something. And it's like, why are we doing this? Why aren't we, having kind of one avenue to tackle at a time? Like I talked about it in our third episode, like dicing up the onion, right? Solving these different things. Our themes do go together. But to your point, Joe, I just had to jump in there because that, that complexity piece, that when you're trying to solve something, it can be very frustrating for, wanting to own an issue and resolve it, because if there's more complexity, there's not going to be a solve, or the solve is not going to sustain.
And I go back to my time on the phones and dealing with, customers that they're going to spend a good time, right? Let's just take worst case scenario. I'm going to go into a past life here. I was waiting on hold forever. Not at Omni, but in a past life, another company, right? They're waiting on hold forever. So again, I don't feel great, coming in there. I want to vent and complain about that because I've been waiting, right? And now it's exasperating my issues. And then when I get on, I finally get somebody. I'm not just going to go for the one problem. I'm going to lay them all out, right? And us as a GBA on the other end of the phone, we have to start to prioritize what are the issues and how do they line up together? Where do we need to provide empathy? Where do we need to start executing on solves for? Maybe they're intertwined. Maybe that solve is just one thread, and that's what caused all of this. Regardless if we're on the phone, we're solving large gig life problems, there's always a need to prioritize and then carry out. So, maybe some best tactics from either one of you as far as how do you prioritize what's going on, whether it's on a phone call with a customer, whether it's a business decision. What do you do, and what are your best tactics to prioritizing?
Tell the truth, for me, it's like just what's the first step I can take, right? Because sometimes we just look at the bigger picture and it's like, I'm never going to get there, so I don't even start. So just look at the first thing that you can do to get started, and then it will start falling in place. At least that's how it works for me.
You use if we go to a financial models, it's what, the snowball or avalanche? I can't remember. Which one are you doing? You're just taking one step forward. Just to try to get the ball rolling, to pay off some bills, right? In that, or we're trying to solve this problem here. One step in is better than 0 steps in, and then we can pivot, we can own the changes that we need to do. As we've talked about before, chasing what do we need to do differently? This is uncomfortable. That first step is such a key area to just get into. I love it.
Yeah, I always add, well, I guess it would be my struggle, is I want to go for like the big bleeding issue because I don't like it. There's nothing good about it. I want it gone. But I know that that's not always the best avenue. There's typically a lot of different steps and things that are happening that are leading to kind of the umbrella issue. So before you can repair that, there's going to be rain that's trickling in. But so I kind of go with Diego's approach, right? What's going to be something that we can execute and it be a plan that everybody understands, and it's going to be something that can be sustained. Like, I don't want to just put a Band-Aid on it. I've talked about that before. But I'm not going to just ignore kind of the outlier issues that are pushing the overlying issue. So it is a self kind of fight with myself that it's not going to be effective to tackle everything at once. And it most of the time is not going to be effective to go for like the huge glaring issue if you haven't picked up kind of everything else.
What we talked about last week, right? 1% better over a year, it's 30-something% better.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking those steps in there. And I think as we continue to work on our communications, our problem solving ability, then we could start to narrow down. And I've asked these questions many times over my career is this a lead measurement? Are we going after the lead problem that's causing all these lag measurements to come out there? We look at it even from a phone perspective. HT is not the measurement, it's a lag measurement. It's not the one that we go after, right? We need to figure out, well, what within our quality program, what within the systems and the tools, what in the forefront that's causing the high HT, what's causing that high ACW or the hold time, what's not clear for our team members to have great answers timely to give to our customers. HT is the lag measurement. It's not what you're going after to change the problem, right? And that's how we start to look at, well, what needs to be fixed in the forefront, whether it's creating a chatbot for better timely responses to those general, I forgot while I was talking, I need an answer, or just working on simple discipline of staying on topic and leading our customer to success, because we are the experts of this problem, not our customer. So there's all those different tactics that we could utilize, for prioritizing what the problem is, and how do we address which one is right. I think it's just time and trying out, right? Trial and error. That's all we got to go with. As we continue on with extreme ownership, I know we've been talking a lot about this. This is where I think the power really comes to fruition. So we talked about a bunch of these steps of how do we own this and the stories along this, but what does it get us at the end? Well, in the business world, there's a couple of different leadership thought philosophies. There's a command and control, top down, one person up top leads everyone and everyone's got to do that way. Or there's spoken model, more like what we do. It's more of a decentralized command. We all know where we're headed. Up and to the right is where we're going. And you, Zac, you, Diego, are both decentralized command leaders of your organization. You influence it there. It's keeping us on the right track there. What are your thoughts on, having everyone be a leader? What are some of the unique challenges that you've experienced with that being we're all in the same plate?
I wouldn't say so much challenge. Maybe if you want to frame it for that, it's more along the lines of who is going to essentially own a situation. And that's where some people can fall back on, right? It's, okay, I need to wait for so-and-so to come in and approve it. And that's where I guess the challenge would be. But in the same token, it's that whole method of it's not what you preach, it's what you tolerate. And from the, I would say counterparts that I work with on a day-to-day, it's very much just get the job done. Like, it works to just get the job done, satisfy your clients, satisfy your peers, whatever the issue at hand is, get it done. And then it's not so much of who was the one to come in and approve it. Like, we're not approving expenses. We're not approving these things. If it's going to have a positive impact to the business, go for it. And that's really how I've been able to kind of overcome challenges, is instilling that trust.
Any last thoughts from you, Diego?
No, I think it's just what Zac just said, right? It's starting that trust and doing the things that are going to be for benefit. It's something that I really love about working here at Omni, right? It's everybody is trying to solve something and it's trying to solve it the best way they can. So when you can trust that everybody around you is trying to do that, then solutions are going to come up and things are going to evolve and work out.
Going back to self, convince yourself that you can do it and you can inspire others. And once you can overcome that, then it's you can view yourself as that. It's an ego push. Like, you're not showing your ego, right? You're not going to everybody else and saying, I'm the tippity top, but you have that confidence and that ability to say, I'm doing this, where I'm going to inspire people to do it with me.
We're just going to keep working on it, right? And it's a journey. It's always going to continue going on as we work on ourselves and our owning what we need to do. Or there's some extremes to this. Yeah, absolutely. Is it for everyone? No. And that's okay. As long as we realize what matters. And that's the communication piece is never done. We can always improve what we're doing for each other, how we're communicating it, how we're communicating so it's heard, not just communicating to communicate. I truly, this is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. We could probably go on another hour, but for everyone's time, we're probably going to switch off here to a quick pick-em time. I've got a great question. I forget who I need to ask. I don't know. I'm going to go, Zach, what makes you feel unstoppable?
What makes you feel unstoppable? I would say when I'm a good run. Like, I have my bad runs, but the day where I'm like, it's just going, like everything feels good. Like a car goes by me and I feel like I'm racing the car, like that adrenaline, like, but that would be it. Definitely a good like power run. What about you, Diego?
I think it's kind of the same, but on the bike. And but it's just, yeah, when you get your endorphins out and then it's just a good one and like you didn't suffer that much and it's just like you get back and you're like, I'm top of the world. I can do whatever I want to.
Joe?
Ooh, when that pre-workout hits right before I start lifting, I am unstoppable. Let me tell you that much. So
Walking in the gym, just flexing the guns.
Flexing the guns. Yeah, there we go. But no, it's that, or it's when either one of my daughters said, you know what, Dad, you're looking better. All right, the gym's paying off. You know, they're the harshest critics in the world, but when they're noticing a change, something else just makes you feel great. All right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, middle school and high school girls are not exactly the nicest. So
No, not at all.
any compliment in that frame of mind would be good. I have a question that goes along with the extreme ownership, and it's how do you guys own your alarms? Are you a one alarm and up? Are you every 5 minutes? Do you snooze? What's the hot take on this?
Hot take. I'll jump in here. So I have 2 alarms every morning. One is to wake me out of slumber. It's on 5-minute intervals, and then at the end of the third one, 1 minute
So you
later.
have more than 2. I'm counting.
It's 5-minute snoozes.
How many times is an alarm noise going off?
The first one is 3 times, and then on the fourth one, the second alarm, which is a different sound. It's not really podcast appropriate of what it says, but it's like some EDM music, and it's basically telling me to get up now, and I get up on the dot when that one hits. So it's those consequential movements. I've been working my entire life to get up on the first alarm, but it will just never happen for me. So it's definitely on that second alarm, fourth ring. What about you?
I'll add in just real quick snippet here. I've been on a business trip with Joe before, and this is true. Like we had to call the room, we had to knock on the door. He can sleep through an alarm, period.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, as soon as that second alarm goes off, I'm up, right? And anyway, most of the time, 99.99% of the time.
Diego?
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. I'm either blessed or cursed with the ability to wake up early and whatever time I say that I will. Like, I set my mind to wake up at 5 a.m. I know it will happen. So it's been years since I set an alarm, but I do need to set alarms to remind me of doing things. So because I have the worst memory ever, so I do need to set, like, my alarms are not for waking up, but I do have alarms for absolutely everything, from like taking the dog for her walk or I don't know, anything.
That's funny. I have the internal alarm clock on the weekends, but sadly, but I just do my watch. I just have a watch. It vibrates. I sleep with my watch on, and it goes off, and I'm up. Like once, just roll over, tap it, I'm one and done.
I'm jealous of both of you. I don't know what it is. I want both of those things, and it just frankly will never happen. And I'm okay with it. I've learned to be okay.
So do you find that sleep data from the watch useful for anything?
I enjoy it. I think it's more of now it's like, oh my God, I'm hitting my 8 hours like consistently. And I do notice though, like, because I'll have like the data of the last week and my trends of my increase or decrease. And if there's a week where I'm trending down and a decrease, I can visually see the difference. I can feel the difference in comparison to when I see the data. And now Apple just updated, so I actually get the view of like my deep sleep, my REM, my awake, like all the hours in the night. So that's really cool to see.
Well, it's about time Apple caught up to Samsung. I've been analyzing that data for years, but I'm right there with you. As soon as I see my trend line is down, I used to think I was above sleep, and I was 4 or 5 hours is all I needed, but then I realized I wasn't being as effective as a human being without that 8 hours, right? It was 7, 8 hours, somewhere in that range itself. And the more I've put effort into the sleep, the better everything has started to become. I've started working out more consistently, eating better. I'm less emotional snacking or drinking or all that good stuff, right? You know, it's so much ties into the sleep itself. Diego, do you study your sleep patterns?
I also have an Apple Watch, so just to start it with the deep data. But Stacy a while ago recommended an app to kind of like look at your day and when are your best times to do certain things. And I really found that very helpful with things that I already kind of knew, but it has helped me like see the patterns through the day and when it's the best time to do certain activities. Now, a lot of the work that I do is creative, but some of the work that I do, it's not. So where to put either of those things, or even where to put the workouts, or where to go have lunch and just feel, yeah, make it more productive.
Well, I think that's a lead into a future topic there is kind of that state of flow, right? And when does that happen, and you know how to fully maximize all of that, for sure. I this has been a phenomenal conversation, guys. I appreciate both of you and taking the time out of your day to talk about extreme ownership itself. I just want to leave with one quote from the book itself, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. I had to take complete ownership of what went wrong. That is what a leader does, even if it means getting fired. If anyone was to be blamed and fired for what happened, let it be me. What a powerful quote that is. And as we start to think about our communications, our tasks, owning what is happening around us, we are all leaders, no matter what your title is. So keep on moving out there, keep on working towards bettering your business and bettering yourself as a human being. And as always, hashtag keep learning and let us know what you're learning about too. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more great content. The more likes and subscribes that does happen, the more we're going to get out there and we can bring better content to you. So if you'd like to reach out to us as well, as we mentioned in the beginning of this episode, we now have our own email, btb@oiteam.com. Please reach out to us. Let us know what you think about the beans versus no beans or any of the hot takes today. And join us for next week's topic of our communication series, Communicating with Customers. I am Joe Bear, and for my co-hosts, Zac and Diego, this is Behind the Beard. Hashtag Omni to the moon.
I was gonna say, but before we get there, and then push it to you because I don't have the question in front of me.
That's our icebreaker.
Hashtag recorded.